Hi, I'm Tom Spiggle with the Spiggle Law Firm, where we represent people who've been fired or afraid they might be. This is the Spiggle Spotlight, where we talk about employment law issues in the news. One that you may have seen recently is there were some lawyers in New York who are subject to possible sanctions because they submitted a legal brief with case law that was generated by ChatGPT, which is the popular AI framework that made a splash in November of last year. Many of you may have used it, but you can use it to do all kinds of things, including legal research. The problem is, as these attorneys find out, is that ChatGPT does something called hallucinate, which basically it makes things up. And I'm not a computer scientist, but my understanding is the way these AI programs operate, particularly these large language models like ChatGPT, is in a very sophisticated way. They determine when it's given a prompt what's the next most likely thing that should come next, whether it's a word or a phrase. So, in legal research, it can figure out or predict what the next thing would be when you ask it a legal question. The thing with ChatGPT is it can't separate fact from fiction, and it will sometimes make up cases, and they will sound very plausible, like a real case. It's not trying to fool you. That's just the way that the large language model works for now. I'm sure that there will be improvements. And in this case, there was an attorney, two of them, that did some research on ChatGPT and apparently didn't check to see if the cases were in fact real, and put them in a brief and submitted them to the court. And the opposing party tried to look them up and said, "Hey, we think there might be a problem with these cases." And the judge issued an order saying, can you double check these cases? Are these accurate? Can you respond to this? And the attorney went back to ChatGPT and said, "Hey, are these cases real?" And ChatGPT said yes. And that was obviously not accurate. So here is the moral of the story. And most of the people who are listening to this are career professionals or people who are experiencing some kind of problem at work or know somebody who is. You can still use ChatGPT very effectively in other AI programs. It does a pretty good job of at least pointing you in the right direction if you ask it a legal question. It'll do a better job the more detail that you give it. For instance, if you have been fired from your job and you were the only woman to get fired and you're also over 40, if you put in there that you're the only woman to get fired, it's going to pick up that you might be the victim of gender discrimination. But if you don't put that you're over 40, it's not going to flag age discrimination issues. So it can be really good at pointing you in the right directions, and most times it can give you legal information that is correct. Like if you ask it, which statutes might be at play, what laws might have been violated, it'll usually give you at least the major federal laws. So a good place to kind of get your bearings. And again, if you're a non-attorney and you're submitting, for example, something to the EEOC, the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, which is the federal agency charged with enforcing many federal anti-discrimination laws, you have to file a charge there before you go to court. It can help you draft that charge statement. It can help you draft a demand letter to your employer, and all these can be hugely beneficial to you, whether you submit them on your own or not. I mean, obviously I'm an attorney, so I'm a fan of even if you do your own research like that you hire an attorney to double check it. But you don't have to, and there are times when it makes sense for you to go it alone. So in those situations, if a ChatGPT hallucinates and gives you a bad case or two, you are not going to get sanctioned because you're not an attorney, you're not an officer of the court, and chances are the other side might not pick up on it either. But nevertheless, it's still good to do your research, check the cases that it cites. You can go to Google Scholar is a good place to look at them for free. There are other paid databases. Westlaw is one. Lexis is another. Some law libraries, if you go to, can allow you to do legal research on those, and you can often law librarians will help you with that. That's a good place to check out to see if they're real. There are other paid services that use ChatGPT. Case Text is one that has something called Co-Counsel that you can run those through. Not terribly expensive, but again, if you are, unless you're an attorney or you're going to be doing this a lot, that doesn't make sense or economic sense for you to use those paid search engines. But you can use the free resources or go to a law library. So, fan of ChatGPT, it can be a big help to you in pointing you in the right directions. But it doesn't get things right all the time. You should be prepared for that. And of course, if you're an attorney, beware, double check your homework on what ChatGPT may give you. All right, hope that helps. Have a good day, everybody.